Words of Wisdom with Adam Carriker.
Yo mama's so fat, when she sat on her iPhone, she created the iPad. Hi, Mom.
A harsh start to Fourth and Pain, and happy Mother's Day to each and every one of you. It's not Mother's Day, but good Lord, I like that. I do like that one.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I like it as well.
It's a little change of pace there with Words of Wisdom. Welcome to Fourth and Pain, the only pro wrestling show to be hosted by an NFL player and a weight loss champion. He is Redskins defensive end. I am former pro wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion Chuck Carroll. And this, of course, Fourth and Pain. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at Fourth and Pain and Facebook, facebook.com/what else? Fourth and Pain. Adam, tough, heartbreaking loss up in New York, and man, you know, the wide world of sports, they say the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. Well, in the span of about 17 seconds, you had both on Sunday.
Yeah, you did. I mean, to me, what I take from the game is actually a lot of positivity because, I mean, we rushed for over 200 yards, 480 yards of offense, had the time of possession. Robert on that fourth down play to get the conversion. I mean, that not too many guys, aside from Houdini, could have done that. And then the touch pass to Santana Moss, the touch pass for the touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown. And then he actually had one earlier on in the game that was called back on kind of an iffy penalty. There were a couple calls throughout the game that were interesting. To be honest with you, the loss is obviously very hard to take, but we just took the world champions down to the final minute in their house and should have won the game, to be honest with you, but we played it close, and it's tough to beat somebody like that is that good and that well coached and that good of a team 3 straight times. So give them credit, but I take a lot of positives away from this game.
Takeaways from the game, of course, the continued performance of Robert Griffin III. You know, the Giants actually came out after the game and said he was the best quarterback that they faced all year. True.
I did not know that, but that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
I mean, he's playing very good. He was going into today leading the league in completion percentage as a rookie, and that's very impressive.
Well, it's going to be hard to fathom that he won't be again nominated for Rookie of the Week. He just seems to be up for that every single week. Matter of fact, they should just give it the RG3 award this year. But here's the big takeaway, and that is the loss of Fred Davis for the season. Tough to go out in the way that he did, a manner not too different from the way that you injured your knee. He was just planning. He had a cut, and the Achilles, it just seemed to pop on him, and so he's going to be done for the year. Unfortunate for him. London Fletcher also goes out in the second half with the hamstring injury. We'll see what happens over time with him. I think he's 40 now, so you can't exactly rush back from those types of injuries. You got to figure if he could have gone back in the game, he would have. And so that gives me a little bit of concern about what that means for Fletcher going forward.
Yeah, I would agree. I will say this. There was a few times last year where throughout the week, you'd watch him and he didn't look, like you felt very good at certain times because he was battling some injuries throughout the year. And come Sunday, you'd have no idea. There's certain guys that have that knack. Leroy Glover had that in St. Louis when I played there. I remember watching him walk on the plane after a game, and the guy could barely move. A week later on Sunday, he's out there, and you'd never know anything was wrong. Now, I'm not saying, that he's going to overcome a whatever. If it's a hamstring tear, difficult to overcome. But if there's any doubt, you can pretty much believe that London's most likely going to be out there.
Well, we'll find out a little bit more as the week progresses. I think that I heard that they're going to run some more tests on him on Monday and see exactly what's going on there. But now you're at a position, Adam, where the Redskins have lost 3 critical players. Yourself, Brian Arakpo, and now offensively, you're without Fred Davis, the franchise player, the tight end, leading the team in receiving, I do believe, on his way to having another strong day, and then this Achilles tendon injury happens. I mean, what does this offense now have to do to overcome the loss of Fred Davis for the year? Obviously, the defense took a couple weeks, but they moved on without you and Rack. They're still trying to find their identity, but they're doing a pretty good job. Now, offensively, they've lost one of those key cogs. What are they going to be able to do moving forward? How can they overcome this?
This is the NFL. I mean, that's just part of this league. It's part of what happens. The Ravens just lost Ray Lewis, another key cog in their defense. And obviously, they've been playing this whole year without Terrell Suggs, and he just comes back. So it's just part of the game dealing with certain guys being gone for a certain amount of times. You got to remember, Pierre Garçon, I don't know when he's going to be back, but at some point he's going to be back. And there's a weapon that we haven't had for most of the season. As soon as he gets healthy and he comes back, that's something that we're going to have at our disposal. I don't know when that'll be. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Well, now the big question, though, turns to whether or not the team goes out and they reach out to Chris Cooley and try to bring him back. Remember, when we had Chris on a couple of weeks ago, he said he wasn't really in a hurry to go anywhere. He was waiting for the right opportunity to present himself, and he made it very clear that he would love to return to Washington if that opportunity presented itself. Matter of fact, the day that we interviewed him, he was coming back from a function at Redskins Park. His ties are still very much close with this team. Are we in a position now where you think this would be the opportunity for Chris to come back?
I mean, that's the logical guy you think of right off the bat, right off the top of your head. Hey, bring Chris Cooley back. It's going to be interesting because at this point, it's a business decision as well. You got to look at it from his standpoint. He's probably going to get the league minimum. I don't know what he'll get exactly because they're going to have to do some sort of contract. It's probably going to be about the league minimum, which is a far cry from what he was making. It's also a huge jump up from what he is currently making. So you don't know how he's going to look at that, how he's going to view that. And if they do bring him back, you got to be realistic and honest. I mean, maybe he'll be the featured tight end again. Maybe he'll be in the starter. Maybe he'll fill in that third slot, and you let Niles and Logan be the 1 and 2, and he's that 3 guy. It just depends, probably on how he looks in practice if they do end up reaching a deal and bringing him back.
Couple things to piggyback on that. One, he has said repeatedly it has never been about the money, and he even said to us he is financially set. Money is not a concern for him. Two, he has also said that if he comes back, he wants to be that premier guy. And I don't know if Niles is ready because he's still kind of a work in progress at tight end. And I don't know that Logan is truly ready to step up and be that number 1 tight end. I think that perhaps in a few weeks with enough reps, if he works with that one team, he could fill that role. But I'm not sure that he's there yet. And I think that Chris Cooley, given his experience and the fact that he was with the team all the way through the preseason, familiar with this package already, he seems to be that natural fit. I'm sure that he's healthy, having all this time now to rest that suspect knee. He can come in, he can fill that role. The question, though, is what kind of shape he's going to be in, because he's coming off the couch. If he comes back immediately onto the field, he's just not going to be in that quote-unquote football shape.
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I was watching Terrell Suggs today, and I was watching him for one sole reason. The dude had not practiced because of this Achilles injury that he'd had. And his first practice time was this week. So I'm like, is this dude just going to be out of shape? Is he just going to be completely rusty? Obviously, he's not going to take all the snaps. I watched him, and I think it was in the first quarter, he got a sack right off the bat. I'm like, that doesn't. My point has been proven. Practice is overrated. And I'm bringing this point up to the coaches. But seriously, it just depends on how hard he's been working in his time away. Obviously, Suggs knew he was coming back. He was just awaiting, when exactly that would be. Cooley's situation, he didn't know if he'd come back. Maybe he had kind of moved on, maybe not. I don't know. It's just going to depend on how he had viewed his situation, whether he expected to come back and how hard he's been working. And that's just tough to tell.
We'll see. Time will tell. I think that if they're going to make a move, it's probably going to be on Tuesday. That's typically when those types of moves are made. So we shall see if they go in the Cooley direction or if they go somewhere else. It'll be interesting, honestly, to see what they wind up doing now with Fred Davis. Fred was in a contract year. He signed the franchise tender, which was a 1-year deal. He was playing for that big contract, that big, pay me kind of deal, and we'll see if he's able to get that now that he's going to lead the season. 7 games in? He played 6.5 games?
Yeah, about 6.5 games. It'll be interesting because they know what he can do. Obviously, this is his 3rd year with the coaches. They've seen him. I think he had kind of earned that trust back. He had shown that he had matured a little bit. So I think he had proven himself, at least, to this point in the season on that. So it's just going to be his recovery, how fast he comes back, how confident they are in that. And honestly, I mean, it's a business. Who else is interested? How much are they offering? I just did this last offseason, so I know. And, it's probably going to play a big role in how much the Skins want to offer, what they want to do as well.
Well, one place I can guarantee he won't be going is the UFL. But
I hope not.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody's going there. They suspended operations again.
I did not know that.
Oh, yeah. This past week. Well, we're out of money.
Boy.
Sorry, guys.
Well, that stinks.
Last little bit on the Redskins and Giants before we move on. I want to address the final play. Well, not the final play, but the Victor Cruz 77-yard touchdown from Eli Manning. Now, that was the big play that the Redskins secondary gives up. All day, they had seemed to keep Eli and company in check, hadn't really been burned on that big play. It just happens at a very inopportune time. It erases a lot of what RG3 was just able to do with that magical drive. Now, people are calling for Jim Haslett's head. They are putting this squarely on his shoulders. Adam, I got to put you on the spot, man. How much of this is attributable to Haslett and how much of this is just, it's one of those things?
I don't like you putting me on the spot, but I can be blatantly honest here. I have no idea. I'm not being politically correct. I'm not saying what I'm supposed to say. I don't know. I don't know what the defense was. I don't know who was supposed to have who. You can speculate. You can think. Maybe Shanahan or the coaches addressed it afterwards. I don't know if it's a bad call on the coach. I don't know if, obviously something didn't happen right. I don't know what, and therefore I can't point a finger in any direction.
Well, I'm not asking for finger pointing. I was actually honestly expecting you to say, well, no, this isn't Haslett's fault. But here's the thing. Driving over to tape the show, I was really struck by this one particular caller into a post-game show. And this caller said, man, in that situation, you got to be in defense. You got to be dropping 8 guys back. You can't let nothing. You got to be rushing 2 at the most and just drop everybody back. Here's the thing. How many times have you heard the phrase from callers, the only thing prevent defense does is prevent you from winning the game? So now they don't run that prevent, and now they're calling for the prevent. Like, it just seems to me to be a situation where a coordinator, a coach, the players, they can't win.
It's hindsight is 2020. It's the Monday morning defensive coordinator, as opposed to Monday morning quarterback. It's one of those things where if you play aggressive, you get burned deep. Oh, you should have been playing safe. You play the prevent, they nickel and dime you down the field, and then you end up giving up the points that way. So, I will say this. When it comes to Coach Haz, I've been with him for 5 years. He played in the league for 10 years. He's been coaching for 20 years in the NFL. Head coach, interim head coach, much experience. Got to be honest with you, one of the best football coaches I've ever been around.
Exactly, and that was the answer I was expecting.
Well, I said I would be honest. My honest answer was I didn't know who to point the finger at. If you're going to ask me what I think a coach has, he's one of the best football coaches I've ever been around.
There you go. All right, man. Well, let's put the kibosh on the Redskins. Let's take the final drive here. Let's go around the league, get you caught up on some of the other action. Houston all over the reeling Baltimore Ravens, 43-13 down there in Texas. Green Bay 30, St. Louis 20. You got to like that, Adam. Tennessee wins a nail-biter 35-34 over the Bills. Indianapolis 17, the Browns 13. Nobody cares. New Orleans hangs on and wins 35-28 over the Creamsicle Buccaneers. Dallas Cowboys 19, Carolina Panthers 14, Minnesota 21, Arizona 14, and New England 29-26 victors in OT over Tebow Sanchez and the Jets, and another game that few people care about, Oakland 26, Jacksonville 23. Adam, what are your takeaways?
That instead of saying the Jets or Sanchez, you said Tebow first, a guy that did not even attempt to pass the whole game, but just rushed 4 times.
4 big rushes. That a boy, Tebow.
That a boy. What do I take away? I take away the fact that Houston is really good. Still really good, even despite what happened a week ago against the Pack. Baltimore clearly misses Ray Lewis. And Terrell Suggs proves that practice is overrated. Chris Johnson, is he back? Rushed for almost 200 yards today, 195 yards against the Buffalo Bills.
That's your FedEx Ground Player of the Week right there.
Is he back? It's a question because ever since he signed the contract, he's caught a lot of heat for the way he has played. And he's still explosive. He's still fast. He's still very talented. So we'll see what happens as the year progresses. Final play in New Orleans. Do you want to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah, here's the thing.
Real briefly.
Very interesting ruling. Now, we did a little research coming into this because I was under the impression that if you push a guy out of bounds, he's forced out of bounds, he can come back. He can touch the ball. That's all legal. Wrong. If the quarterback is out of the pocket, Adam, if the quarterback is out of the pocket and the receiver gets pushed out, then that's fair game. He cannot be the first player to touch the ball at that point.
So the refs caught a lot of grief because people thought they got the call wrong, but in fact, they got the call right. These rules are so intricate and so specific, and that's why I'm so glad to have the right refs back.
I don't. Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't. I mean, kudos to them for knowing that rule because nobody else in America seemed to.
That is incredible.
I don't understand the logic behind it.
I don't either.
C'est la vie.
The rules tend to change as soon as a quarterback steps out of bounds. Apparently, he can throw the ball wherever he wants. I got a question for you.
Sure.
What is the difference between intentionally grounding the ball and spiking the ball at the end of the game when the quarterback just throws the ball into the ground? Why is that not intentional grounding? What is the difference?
Not going to lie to you. I've always wondered that, and I do believe it is because the center is reporting as an eligible receiver. Probably not. But
yeah, you're totally making that up.
I am making that up.
You can just say you don't have a clue.
I don't.
It's okay.
I'm an expert. Here we go.
Hey, I will say this. I was a quarterback back in high school like 22 years ago. Random story. My high school coach, we're at the end of the game, and I'm trying to bring the team back, and I'm spiking the ball into the ground. And so I spike the ball, and I run off the sideline. He's like, make sure you spike the ball in front of yourself, because what I had actually done, and we watched it on film the next day, I got the ball, and for some reason, I turned sideways, and I literally spiked it, but it was behind my feet where the ball was. Now, the refs didn't catch this. That's actually a fumble.
Because it was behind your feet?
Behind my feet. It's technically a lateral pass.
Interesting.
It's like when you throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage to a receiver, 10 yards away, like a bubble screen or something like that.
Yeah.
It's no different.
Huh.
So the refs did not catch it in that game, but there's a bunch of trivia for you. Random knowledge.
Oh, there you go.
From an ex-star quarterback of a high school team with 2 wins.
Hey man, you quarterbacked that team to greatness.
All right. Dominated.
Here we go, man. Let's we haven't done this in a while. Let's ask Adam a couple questions, shall we?
We actually have quite a few, so we're gonna fire through these.
Yeah, let's go. On Twitter, Owen Sailed, OwenSaled. Give him a follow just cause. Simple question, Adam. Hulk Hogan in his prime or Ryan Kerrigan?
I'm kind of confused. Is this a wrestling or football question? I'm going to assume that it's wrestling.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go that since the leg drop is the worst finishing move in history, and Ryan Kerrigan, I don't know if you ever watched the sack of him getting Drew Brees. He did a minor almost, I don't know what you call it, backflip a little bit with Drew Brees. So I'm going to go with Kerrigan.
Hola, Urbito's Way. Give him a follow on Twitter. Are you really going to take LeVar Arrington's gig when you retire?
Yes.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding. I've actually been asked that quite a bit, and here's my response to that. I'm an NFL player. I have an NFL player who is a wrestling fan. I am an NFL player who has a show where we talk about wrestling and football. I am not per se a member of the media. I am not per se a wrestler. Yes. I am an NFL football player. And I just enjoy doing this show. LeVar is safe. He is etched in stone. His job, him and his buddy Chad Dukes, our buddy Chad Dukes, they've got their job safe. Now, when I retire, watch out, buddy. But hopefully that's not for quite a while.
Well, you know what I say. I say that there's, the pond is plenty big for both fish here.
Well, hopefully that's not for quite a while. Well, they kind of dominate the 2 to 7 o'clock segment. So I think they're pretty much, like I said, etched in stone there.
Dude, we could do middays. We could do mornings. And, there are plenty of opportunities. Here we go.
we have a steel cage match.
Bryan Peterson. You may not want to answer this one in public, but why is the Cornhusker defense struggling?
That's a tough one for me to answer. What I see, obviously I watch all the games. What I see is there's fairly big running holes, especially against Ohio State. So I got to imagine they're losing the battle at the line of scrimmage with the defensive line, and then I see a lot of missed tackles. Those are the two main things I see.
All right, Red Fowler now. I've always been curious, he writes, why is it when anyone in college gets the ball with their knee on the ground, the play's over, but the holder for field goals and extra point always has their knee on the ground, and yet he can get up, throw, pass, or run the ball, and the play can continue? Poor K.
We need that ref. We need the New Orleans ref in here.
Paging.
I have no idea. No clue.
Paging
that
at
is a
Hockley.
Great question.
Paging at Hockley.
Wow.
I go hard. Because Drew Brees beat Johnny Unitas' record, would you consider him the best quarterback to ever play the game?
I actually know this guy. He runs a t-shirt company. He might be working with me, coming out with our own t-shirts, my own t-shirts pretty soon. Keep an eye out for that. But what was the question? I got
Johnny
it. I remember.
Drew Brees.
I remember. Johnny Unitas is considered the greatest of all time. Is that what he's saying?
Yes, sir.
Is Drew Brees greater? Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say no, simply because Drew Brees, I don't even know if he's the greatest quarterback today. You got Aaron Rodgers, you got Tom Brady, you got Peyton Manning. By the time it's all said and done, those guys are going to be some of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And he is in that company. He's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But I wouldn't even consider him the greatest quarterback of today because of the company he's with.
All right, last question here for Ask Adam. Earl DePearl writes, do you have any superstitions before a game?
No, absolutely not. My wife believes in everything happens for a reason, fate and all that. I don't. I believe you you don't control what happens, but you largely dictate what happens. And so I don't really have any superstitions. I don't believe anything else is going to dictate what happens to me. I believe I control my own destiny, at least to a large degree.
And we're moving on because this is the fastest 24 minutes on all of the radio. And frankly, if you don't like a topic, stick with us. It'll be over soon. Because it is Monday, Adam, it is time to talk a little bit about wrestling. Of course, we've got Raw coming up, but I wanted to do a little bit of debate. We talked about the top 5 greatest wrestlers of all time, but we didn't say that they were our favorites. So I thought it would be fun to revisit this a little bit. Say, hey, who are our top 5 favorites? And this is just a personal opinion, has nothing to do with the impact that they've had on the business, just guys that have caught our eye. Adam, we'll start with you. Your number 5.
I'm going to start. Do you know my number 5? Have you seen my sheet?
I have not seen your sheet.
Okay, good. Do you know who my favorite wrestler was before Goldberg? Because that's who this guy is.
Ultimate Warrior.
Well, since I've been doing nothing but talking about watching the self-destruction of Ultimate Warrior DVDs and his shoot on Hogan that he did a couple years ago, yes, you'd be correct.
I am awesome.
The Ultimate Warrior.
Jim Hellwig is a heck of a wrestler, but he is not nearly as good as El Dandy, my number 5.
You're kidding, right?
Oh, of course, I'm kidding.
Okay.
No,
you have him written down.
I do.
You are not kidding.
No, I have him written down so I didn't forget the bit.
Oh my gosh.
But honestly, my number 5 is Triple H. He did some amazing things with DX back in the day, that Attitude Era in WWE that I love so much. He is my 5 seed. Adam, you're 4.
I have Stone Cold Steve Austin.
At 4, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that he's that low for you. I would have figured he would have been up the chain a little bit.
Well, he's pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie. But there are some guys ahead of him that were just a little bit awesomer.
All right, number 4 for me, HBK, Shawn Michaels, Triple H's right-hand man, or you could say that was reversed and he's Triple H's whatever. HBK, Heartbreak Kid, number 4 for me, did great things. Trace, who you got?
Number 3, and I have to be very specific with this because I wasn't crazy about him as the short, blonde-haired guy, and I'm not crazy about him now as the Joker, which he portrays on TNA, but the Crow Sting. I absolutely loved Sting when he was the Crow Sting in the rafters, taking on NWO, taking on the world. Awesome.
Number 3 for me, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Love this guy. Love the beer truck bit. Love the rebel thing against the boss. Love the stunner. The fact that he would just come out and kick ass in jean shorts and a black t-shirt. He was truly the American icon. Everybody wanted to be this guy. Hell, I shaved my head because of Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Is that what happened?
Wasn't until many years later, but yeah.
Is that what happened?
Well, not currently. I still got some hair.
What happened to your hair, by the way?
I got a little tired of it.
You quit using the Rogaine, huh?
I got tired of it.
You quit using the Rogaine?
No, I had a Floby accident.
Hey, is my wall? Is there some?
Shut up.
Something's falling out of the ceiling. What is
number
that?
2. Who's your number 2?
If you smell. See the t-shirt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see? You like that?
Yeah. Nice.
The Rock, obviously. The Rock.
The Rock. Not a bad choice, man.
Greatest of all time on the mic, even though Cena, kind of took it to him. He was a little bit rusty on the mic. Extremely athletic, great wrestler. Just honestly, he says it. He is the most electric guy. And he says in all of entertainment now because he electrifies the movie theater.
I do enjoy The Rock. I think Dwayne is a heck of a guy. But my 2 seed, Chris Jericho. This guy, you will never convince me that there is a better mic worker in the business than Chris Jericho. And the fact that this guy has traveled the world, he has such a wealth of wrestling knowledge that he brings into the ring with him. And my God, when he went on WCW and he was the man of 1,004 holds, and Stinko Malenko only had 1,000, Chris Jericho forever endeared him in my Mark heart.
You just like him because he's small.
Nope. Please. Bigger than me. Number 1?
I'm still upset about your number 2.
Shut up.
Hey, that's not nice.
I know.
Well, who do you think number 1 is?
Well, I think that
Goldberg.
Favorite
the spear, the jackhammer, the intensity, the raw power, raw explosiveness. Goldberg.
And the fact that the guy can get the giant up and hoist him down for a jackhammer.
Like he's absolutely nothing. Like he was a toothpick, literally.
Quite amazing. And the number 1 seed for me, Sting. And here's why. I agree with you 100% that his current Joker gimmick, it's a little eh. But when he had that short spiky blonde hair in WCW back in the day, he captivated me. He is the reason that I got into pro wrestling. I was a big Sting guy. I went as him a couple of times for Halloween. And then, of course, his whole bit with the NWO, his feud with Hollywood Hogan, arguably the biggest feud of all time in pro wrestling. Sting versus Hollywood Hogan. Man, that's my one.
No, we don't have time to debate this, but Sting versus the NWO or Stone Cold versus Vince McMahon, real quick. Which one's bigger?
At the time, Sting versus NWO.
No,
man.
Vince versus Stone Cold. Every guy we talked to is like Stone Cold. I love that he went head to head with Vince. Not one guy has ever said Sting versus NWO, and that was a great feud. But nobody ever says that over Stone Cold versus Vince.
As much as I love WWE, I was a big time WCW fan. And I will never forget that whole time leading up to that match at Starrcade, which was right here in Washington. That whole time, Hogan and Sting going back and forth. Sting wouldn't even talk on the mic. He would just point down from the rafters with his baseball bat, or come out to the ramp, not say anything, just stare him down with the baseball bat, or drop down from the rafters, kick ass, and leave. I'm telling you, Sting was the hotter deal. And he had more viewers at the time. WCW was dominating in the ratings at that time.
Well, who went out of business?
At that time, Sting was the bigger deal, the hotter commodity.
But nobody ever, we don't have time to debate this, but nobody ever says Sting over Stone Cold except for you. Why are you sitting on your feet again?
Why do you keep coming back to that?
Because you keep doing it.
I'm just saying it looks better. Trust me, people, I understand that I'm a little bit short.
Get your white stuff off of me.
Shut up,
Wipe
Adam.
off your head.
Shut it.
Don't be so angry. Don't be so angry.
Why do you make me angry?
Why do you say shut up?
You make me
come back with something funny.
You make
not
me
angry.
You make me
People
this
are
way.
turning the channel right now.
This way. You know what?
Because
You're
of
making
you.
them turn the channel.
They tune in because of me.
No, they tune in
because of you.
I am fourth in pain.
You don't even have 1,000 followers.
I am fourth in pain.
I am fourth in pain.
Jesus. All right. On
you
that
are
note,
short and lame.
You're big and dumb.
That doesn't rhyme.
It doesn't
or
have
make
to
any sense.
because you're big and dumb.
Oh,
this is fourth in pain. We are fresh out of time, though. I'm going to go figure out a better comeback, and I'll have that tomorrow. So on that note, thank you so very much for believing in our weirdness. I'm the former pro wrestling announcer turned weight loss champion, Chuck Carroll.
I'm Adam Carriker. I play football. I have the largest arms on the D-line. Peace out, home skillet.
Jerk.
Midget.
Jerk.
Dwarf.
Jerk.
Dwarf.
Jerk.
Dwarf.
Jerk.
Dwarf.
Jerk.
Virgin.